Sometimes, when we enter another person's mind, we find something truly horrible. So, from a conversation with a serial killer to potentially the most disturbing interview of all time, join us. On August 5th, 2009, 33-year-old Angela Simpson lured 46-year-old Terry Neely to an abandoned apartment and proceeded to torture him for the next 3 days. According to police, she beat him, drove nails into his head, pulled his teeth out, stabbed him around 50 times, and finally strangled him. Simpson then dismembered his body and left it in a trash can, where it was soon found. 2 weeks later, she was arrested and eventually sentenced to life in prison.
You're very upfront
Pretty much.
about talking about this killing.
Right.
You murdered this man.
Yes,
You tortured him.
of course.
There is no ambiguity, and there is nothing you want to... In court today, you said you're not here to pretend to be remorseful.
Of course not. Why would I do that?
Are you remorseful?
Not at all.
Why?
Why would I be?
Well, why did this man deserve to die? You claimed he was a snitch.
Well,
What proof do you have of that?
He told me he was a snitch.
I told you.
On many occasions. But that really doesn't matter. Why did you guys want to kill me? Phoenix wanted to kill me. What's the difference? Everybody has a reason to kill.
The incident, can you tell me anything about what happened during those 3 days while you were at
What do you
this?
mean?
No,
I took him to my house, walked him down the street. I don't know why the media acts like the motherfucker couldn't walk. He walked very well. Walked him upstairs, kicked his ass, and killed him.
And again, your belief is that he was a snitch because he
Right.
told you. You claimed that other people had been killed in that same part. You had killed other people. Have you killed other people?
No, I've never killed anyone else.
So that was something to talk.
Right.
And you don't want to talk about your past, but your lawyer said that, you know what, in sentencing you, the judge should bear in mind that you had a really
Right.
tough life.
I started being hospitalized at 10 years old. I have a mental history from 10 years old until
Yeah.
present, so yeah.
When you say mental history, I mean, do you care that anyone feels sorry for you? Do you want anybody?
Feel sorry for me.
Yeah. Should the people who are watching this say because she had a bad childhood,
Of course not.
because she has mental illness,
Of course not, no.
that we should feel some sympathy for you?
No.
You would not have that.
I want no sympathy, no.
What then? Do you care what anybody thinks
No.
about Angela Simpson and what you
No.
have done?
I don't.
I mean, I'm really not trying to be to get
Right.
you angry, but I want to see you say I killed this guy, he deserved to
Right.
die, blah blah blah. I mean, it's there. You're up
Right.
front. I want to know if you have any concerns about what put you in that position to do that to them.
It was just too much. The things he talked about, it was too much.
Do you believe him? I mean, lots of people go around
Well-
claiming I'm a snitch or make themselves.
Really, you don't say.
Well, I think they talk about law. I've got I know people come. I've got associations with law enforcement. You know, I've got this. I'm a friend with this.
Do you
person.
happen to have a list of those people?
They name drop. Well, maybe in the circle, but you know
Right.
what I'm saying.
Right.
People say lots of things to make themselves sort of look.
Well, he picked the wrong nigger to say that to, if he wanted to brag about putting so many people in prison. He picked the wrong person.
and
so-
that's what did it to him. That's why you.
What, the bragging?
The bragging
Oh, yeah.
about putting people in prison.
Right.
People you knew.
No. No,
But
I
he-
don't know any of
Okay. Do you believe him? Do you think he really was a snitch?
them. Oops, if he wasn't. Yes, I believe he was.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have family?
I do.
From an adopted family or?
I have
from
4 children.
You have 4 children.
I do have 4 children.
Where are they?
El Mirage.
What is, how they doing? And how is it for you to be separated from them?
I don't want to talk about my children. I can't do that.
Yeah. Is there a message for what? Is there a bottom line or a lesson to be learned from the story of Angela Simpson?
There's a bottom line to everything, but
What is the bottom line to this story?
whatever people want it to be. It doesn't
What do
matter
you
what
want
I
it to
say.
be?
I don't know.
On January 9th, 2017, 28-year-old Manuel Vela was found dead in his cell. A month earlier, he'd murdered his girlfriend, Katrina Riviera, and their unborn child.
Did you cut the baby out of her?
Yes, I did.
Why?
Prove a point to religion.
Isn't it your baby?
It's not a baby. Yes.
So what point were you proving?
First and foremost, to defy every religion-based political, to defy every law of any God creation of a book. You understand? Yeah.
So did you think what you were doing was the right thing, or did you realize it was going to kill her?
Well, we quite, as a team, you know, from extraterrestrial to religion to science, understand the voyage of telepathy and somewhat of higher power vested in us as a team, me and Katrina Rivera. So I understood, yes, that I was gonna kill her. She understood that she had to die.
And she was okay with that?
Well, that's it. She accepted it, yes.
So was the baby alive at first?
No, you know, kept a little hour, 6 hours to myself, just with her dead in the back seat, side of the road, somewhere, over on Cottonwood. And just had a time to reflect what me and my father had, you know, been sent here to do. And that's where I cut her open, when he told me to.
Who told you to?
The father, it's just the same one who was to communicate with Jesus Christ is one he used here.
So, do you think that you're possessed by the devil?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm the Antichrist. I'm capable of taking separate business of any God that ever said the creator was here to defy law of anything that I ever said that I was Adam from the first, you know, to understand the flesh of pleasure. That's a definition of to fulfill something nobody else ever will ever compare to.
So do you feel bad that your girlfriend and your baby are dead?
I take it easy on her, so no. I have remorse of not, but I don't feel bad.
How did you get your instructions, and what instructions did you get?
Excuse. Oh, right. When I was 7, that's when it's just put him in effect. Yeah, I lied.
And through all that time, you'd hear these voices over and over again?
Well, he
They would
took
guide
it
you?
and said, go left, and I had to go right. And he's in an Asian spaceship or something.
So you already...
So I had to learn every process
Got
of
it.
how he really had to communicate. He said, go right, and I go left.
Got it. So you did pretty much opposite of that. In the process of going through this, how did you kill your girlfriend and the baby? And what instructions did you get in order to do that?
He said, define me, do what you do, and just do it the right way.
What was that way? What did you come up with? What was your way to do this?
Oh, he said, just do it as you were alone in the garden.
And did you use any instruments, tools? Did you use your hands?
Yeah, he gave me instructions of a razor blade that he provided me in the garden when no one else was there.
An X-Acto knife, or was it a utility knife?
Just about a razor blade there.
And you did all of this with the razor blade? You did the C-section with the razor blade?
Yes.
Does this cause you stress through all this process of being arrested, killing your girlfriend, killing the baby? Talk to me about how you feel right now. Do you think that you've done exactly what you were told to do? Clear that up for me.
Well, we fulfilled a pretty magnificent creation, at the same fact. Yes, it says very excited for the next process of experience. As I would imagine to tell you, nothing will ever be the same. Yes.
Yeah.
Responsible for the murders of at least 10 people, serial killer Ed Kemper finally confessed to police on April 20th, 1973. Only hours earlier, Kemper had murdered his mother, Clarnell. He'd then decapitated her, had sex with the head, and finally used it as a dartboard. As Kemper explained in later interviews, the two had shared a severely dysfunctional relationship for years.
You were involved in the campus because your mother worked there.
Yes. I was also involved in killing co-eds because my mother was associated with college work, college co-eds, women, and had had a very strong and violently outspoken position on men for much of my upbringing. My mother was a sick, angry, hungry, and very sad woman. I hated her, but I wanted to love my mother. I was getting less detectable. I started flaunting that invisibility, severing a human head, 2 of them, at night in front of my mother's residence, with her at home, my neighbors at home upstairs, their picture window open, the curtains open, 11 o'clock at night, the lights are on, all they have to do is walk by, look out, and I've had it. And then 5 minutes later, I'd put that away, and there'd be a knock on the door, and I'd put it away and answer the door, and the landlady would be there, and we'd discuss it.
Discuss what?
Reality. Her reality, not mine. Some people go crazy at that point. I felt it. It was one hell of a tweak. I mean, to just flip out and not know where I was. To be walking up the stairs with a camera bag that belonged to a young woman that had her severed head in it. Walking up to my apartment past a happy young couple coming down the stairs who nodded and smiled at me as they went by. Good evening. And they're going out on a date where I'd love to be going. And I'm aware of both of these realities, and the distance between those two is so dramatic, so amazing, so violent, that really, I could feel the wheels squeaking inside. That was really pulling on it. And I imagine at that point some people break. But I didn't literally go insane. I didn't get lost. And for 2 months I hadn't killed. And I said, it's not going to happen to any more girls. It's got to stay between me and my mother, and I can't get away from her. We're still fighting. She's still belittling me. I'm like a puppet on a string, and I entertain her. She knows all my buttons, and I dance like a puppet with that pain. And it had even gotten physical, to where I had physically grabbed her and thrown her onto her bed, trying to emphasize a point that I was threatening to kill her. So here I pick up these 2 young ladies in Berkeley, on Ashby Avenue. One has flowers in her hand, petite little dolls. They're in granny dresses, and they're hitchhiking, a couple of real experts. I want to see how together I am, if I can resist this temptation.
You going to Walnut Creek? Great.
And they get in my car. They want to go one way. I know they need to go the other. If they go the way they're insisting on, we're headed right back out to where the first 2 co-eds were murdered. And I'm saying to myself, oh my God, all I got to do is relax, and they'll take me to their death. I've got the gun in the car, the same one I've been doing it with. I insisted. As gently as I could, I took them where they needed to go, to their college.
Thanks a lot.
That was 1 week before I murdered my mother. I said, she's got to die, and I've got to die, or girls like that are going to die. And that's when I decided I'm going to murder my mother. I knew a week before she died, I was going to kill her. And she went out to a party, she got soused, she came home, went to sleep. I was woken up by that, came out, I walked up to her bed, She's laying there reading a paperback, as many thousands of nights before. And she said, "Oh, I suppose you're going to want to sit up all night and talk now." Shit. I looked at her, I said, "No." I said, "Good night." And I knew I was going to kill her, you know? And I was so cold, it's so hard. And that's the first time in 10 years I've looked at it that way. I mean, that intensely, that honestly. It hurts. It came out of my mother. And in a rage, I went right back in. For 7 years, she said, I haven't had sex with a man because of you, my murderous son. It was one of our arguments. I cut off her head, and I humiliated her corpse. It's there, you know? A 6 young woman dead because of the way she raises her son and the way her son is raised, the way he grows up. And what's her closing words? I suppose you want to sit up all night and talk.
In the 1998 documentary, Listening to Sex Offenders, the crew interviewed a man called Gerald. In the interview, he explains how he molested his 9-year-old stepson.
After about 2 years of molesting my son and all the pornography that I had been buying, renting, swapping, I had gotten my hands on some bondage and discipline pornography with children involved. And some of the reading that I had done and the pictures that I had seen showed total submission, forcing the children to do what I wanted. And I had eventually started using some of this bondage and discipline with my own son. And it had escalated to the point where I was putting a large Ziploc bag over his head and taping it around his neck with black duct tape, or black electrical tape, and raping and molesting him at that point, to the point that he would turn blue, pass out. At that point, I would rip the bag off his head, not for fear of hurting him, but because of the excitement. I was extremely aroused by inflicting pain. And when I seen him pass out and change colors, that was very arousing and heightening to me. And I would rip the bag off his head, and then I'd jump up on his chest and I'd masturbate in his face and make him suck my penis while he was, you know, as he started to come back awake. While he was coughing and choking, I would rape him in the mouth. I told myself that my stepchild, you know, because he wasn't mine, because he wasn't my biological son, that he was less than human anyway. Other people's children that I had raped and molested, they weren't mine. They weren't my biological children, so it didn't make any difference to me. I viewed children as a piece of meat. To me, children were a toy. Do what I wanted with and then throw it away. And then I found that if the child tried to pull away or would scream, holler, cry, and all my lying to myself would enhance that and make it more arousing to me. And the pain, the aspect of inflicting pain was extremely arousing. It was something that had taken time to build up. It didn't just happen. It took time to build that up. And after a while, I could actually take and turn it around to the child was screaming because they wanted more. The child was screaming actually because they liked it. The child was screaming because they wanted me to continue. And it's all turning it around and saying that well, the tears really aren't real for hurt. The screaming isn't really because of pain. It's that the person actually wants this to happen. I had been fantasizing about killing a victim during the course of rape or molest about 5 or 6 months, all during the course of the molestation of my stepson when I was using the Ziploc, the plastic bag over his head. I had fantasized, thought about killing him, letting him go ahead and suffocate during the process of the molestation. I believe it would have been maybe as short as another month or two, and I would have actually killed him if I was not arrested.